What is going on, everybody? Today we're looking at the new LEGO Star Wars Battle Felucia Separatist MTT set 75435 with 976 pieces that retails for $100 US. So of course another set here with a high price that is very ridiculous, especially going off the price per piece is completely ridiculous. But this was a set that I was more comfortable with getting because I've never had an MTT before and I always wanted one. I love the design of the ships overall. Think it's cool, especially get the Separatist version where we have it more a part of the CIS for the Clone Wars and everything with the gray and blue design. So I just thought that was pretty cool. So I definitely want to get this set specifically for that ship. And it comes with some cool characters. So we get Aayla Secura. Of course, I've had her, so she's not a big deal, but we get Commander Bly, which is awesome. And of course, he'll be able to lead our 327 Star Corps we got from the battle pack that was released. Of course, get more droids that always fit inside the MTT, which is pretty cool. And Commando Droids, which I've never had in LEGO before either. So there are a couple things in the set that made me really want, especially the build, the Commando Droids, and that Commander Bly. So overall, I decided to get it. I hate paying the higher price for it, especially I don't feel it's worth it. But overall, the build was really cool and like a lot of the stuff with it. If we spin around to the back, though, we'll see some of the functions of the ship. Of course, you can open it up and get some stuff inside, store a bunch of the guns and everything for especially all our battle droids. We have a pilot seat up top, so we can take the top off and fit them in there. And then we also get the deployment rack out for the battle droids, which is pretty cool. So that's nice function overall, and I think they did a pretty good job with this set. Like I said, just thinks that it was so expensive because otherwise this would be like a home run set. Just that price is the biggest downfall. So let's go ahead and look at this set, starting with our minifigures. So here are 6 minifigures of the set. Actually, technically, we have 6 more battle droids. I just left them in the MTT on the deployment rack, so I'll check that out. But of course, you've seen battle droids multiple times, and of course, we have our pilot there as well. But let's go and start off with Aayla Secura, which looks really nice. So they did upgrade her. I wish I grabbed my old one. I do have it available, but completely forgot to just grab it and stuff. But they upgraded her outfit design, added more details, especially to what I guess you'd call her brawl design or whatever her sort of shirt design she's got on there. So it adds a little more details with that lighter brown color on the darker brown. Of course, some designs here on her belt as well, kind of like a little loincloth design instead of hanging down in front of her pants and stuff. Just wearing the all brown, got the brown sleeve down her arm as well. And then she is a Twi'lek, so she has the blue Twi'lek skin design, especially the head tails hanging down there with the brown wrappings or whatever they're all around her, and the headpiece with her little ears sticking off the side. Just looks pretty good overall for her. So, I always love Aayla Secura as a Jedi, or any Jedi really, but especially the alien species. So awesome to get her again, updated design, with better printing and stuff. And then comes with her blue lightsaber, so nice to have her, of course, leading our troops on Felucia. And speaking of leading our actual troops, we have Commander Bly, the leader of the 327th Star Corps, so looks pretty awesome to have him, especially, like I said, to go along with our figures from that battle pack, which I will bring in here at the end. So it looks good. So we get his cone helmet design, of course, part of the phase 2. Love how he has this darker, almost gold, so almost brown, whatever sort of color it is, running down the V shape down his helmet, as well as the yellow to match with the other 327. Has the pauldron out to the side with that same sort of brown, yellow arms. Everything else is going to be pretty much the same that we saw with the battle pack troopers. Of course, has the printed on common instead of the actual common stuff, so that stinks. Nice that they gave him the nice pauldron piece though, but wish we would have had the comm on there as well. But looks just good overall. Of course, get the Jango Fett head in there, just the single printing, because all that really matters. He has the visor piece as well that comes down and sits over his head, so you can have it up there like that or down in front of his face, however you want it there. And comes with the longer clone trooper gun there. Looks good, like I said, especially to have him leading our 327th. Then for our battle droids, like I said, I only have the one represented here of our pilot, so we've had the pilots before, so just mostly the normal battle droid design, except for in the middle they have the blues and stuff, so making kind of designating them. I always assume they're like captains and stuff, but they have them labeled as pilots a lot with the blue, and love how they have the printing on. Of course, never looks good with the printing, kind of see some of the blue through it, unfortunately, but just looks like the battle droids we've seen multiple times before. Just this one's got the blue, where the others will be all the tan color and stuff. And then also comes with the standard battle droid gun there, just all in black for this version. Then, like I said, one thing I was excited about this set is getting the Commando Droids that I've never had before. So nice design overall. I think they look pretty good. I know people had some issues with some of the coloring and stuff. I don't really care, just as long as it looks like a Commando Droid. I don't really care what color it is, but they're in this nice all dark silver, dark gray, whatever you want to call it there, but looks good. So we get the little head design that's got the more rounded head and has nice silvers for the eyes and what's supposed to be mouth design and stuff. And then the body, love how we get some red printing there on the main droid body, so very similar droid body. Overall, overall, we get the longer legs, though, legs more that are used for like the B2 battle droids or super battle droids. Then comes with the droid gun, just in the silver this time, which is pretty nice. So we get 3 of those. So of course, don't need to look at all 3 because they'll be exactly the same, but we do get 3 of those now, which is awesome. So like I said, never had them before, so now I have 3 in my collection, which is pretty awesome. So that's gonna be it for our minifigures. Of course, like I said, we do have 6 more of normal battle droids. I just left them in the MTT, but you don't really need to see those. You'll see them when I do the deployment, but very awesome to have these minifigures come with the set as well. And then we have our MTT build, which again, I think looks really good. And of course, we do also get a STAP speeder. Just want to show it off. Just another nice STAP speeder design. I don't know if we've had this one because they keep changing them up. I think it looks good though. Of course, being made for the Clone Wars with the blue that matches with the tank and stuff. So the blue and gray design. And of course, we can just take a droid. So take like our Commando droid here, go to clip him on with the little handle. So he can clip on there, get his feet down here on the pedals, and of course can get him adjusted. So he's more at a little bit of an angle there and have him up on the STAP speeder. So you can have that design as well, so droids flying around on the STAP speeder, which is cool. And then to our MTT itself, which like I said, I like the design overall. They did a really good job with the shape. Of course, as I've been told and read stuff, it's smaller. Like I said, I've never had one before, so it's hard for me to really compare, but it does look good, and it's like a lot bigger. Like, you know, I kept hearing it's smaller, but once I got it built, I'm like, you know, it actually looks pretty big. You know, it takes up a good amount of space. Now, of course, probably for the price, it should be a little bigger and stuff, but I think, you know, overall size-wise, I think it's pretty good. You know, don't want anything too big or humongous, but it looks good, like I said, especially going with the Separatist design, or for the CIS, where we get the CIS logos there, where it's more of the gray and blue, which I kind of like that design, just sort of spread all through it. Like I said, I prefer more of the brown design, just because that's what I fell in love with from the Phantom Menace, but still having it in this design is really cool as well. So we'll just look at the exterior. Like I said, a lot of the blue and gray. Love how there's like the lines and stripes and stuff and designs sort of running all through it. Love up here at the top where the pilot seat is, we get this design that always looks like the eyes of the droid, so that's pretty nice. So we get that design. We get stud shooters built in, which of course I hate, but we get the stud shooters off to the sides there. We can shoot those studs off. And then we get the lower guns here at the front. So we get the 2 forward mounted cannon blasters there. So we get those 2 guns. And then otherwise, that's really it for the exterior, besides, you know, all the armor plating and stuff. You know, it's a repulsor craft. So I forgot I did look up the stuff. So an MTT is a multi-troop transport that is heavily armored repulsor craft transport used by the CIS to carry, and, you know, in canon wise, 112 B1 battle droids into battle. That is driven by 2 pilot droids. So of course in this set we only get 1, unfortunately, have room for 1, but I just wanted to tell you that before we get moved on. And of course I love the big like section up top here, like the big fat section, and then goes down to the thinner section here in the back, and just so you can see what it looks like there and everything. And of course we'll be able to open all this up and stuff, which will be pretty cool. So just want to show you all the exterior before we start moving to the interior. So I guess what we'll start with the pilot, just because it's up top. So we get this section, so pretty much just grab the gray here and lift it up and it'll come undone, and we get a pilot seat up in here. Now there are these little flaps to the side you can't open as well. There you can see more interior, so just like the little designs and stuff going on in here. I like how we get a little display panel and stuff kind of showing where enemies are and everything. So with that, we can take our pilot and sort of stick him in here. There is slots we can take his gun out and sort of stick him in the little hole sections on the studs here, so it has the studs with the holes on it, so we can stick that in there, and then take our pilot and just sort of sit him down in the seat here. Of course he sits all weird, but you can put him in the seat like that to be able to pilot the MTT, and then of course put the top back on and stuff. So like that he fits in there and sits nice and everything with that. And then we can go to our deployment rack, which is the biggest feature of the ship and the thing I love the most. So we get this little knob back here that we can actually twist and spin. It has a really kind of neat function overall. So you twist it. Now, of course, it is kind of clunky a little since it is Lego, but you just start twisting it and it'll start to deploy out the deployment rack. So as you see, we get this front like little flap here that opens, which has nice printed design. Nice that they printed that, no stickers or anything on it there, as well as like a little almost like, I don't know what you call it, like a ship's ramp or something that kind of deploys out as well as you start twisting it. So here becomes our deployment rack. So we'll have our battle droids, and we get 6 of them, like I said. So we get 3 on each side. So that's the clunky part where it kind of like drops down there. So it kind of drops down to the ground to deploy our battle droids. But it's pretty nice that it kind of comes out to the side, because as you have it up there, you know, they're kind of more together, but it comes down, kind of drops them off to the side and spreads out to be able to drop our battle droids off. So there's our 6 other battle droids that we got in the set as well. Of course, we can take them off and set them up and have them in battle and everything, but I think it's pretty cool. Like I said, normally with the past ships, I think they were able to hold more, like maybe 8 or so. Of course, they've never been able to hold crazy amounts of numbers with the sets they've made. So this one only holds 6. So that's one thing, you know, I wish I had older ones that would carry more, but still I think overall it works and functions fine. behind and stuff, and it looks pretty nice. And we can of course retract them back in and everything. I just like the design and love especially how it closes back up on itself with the design stuff. Just pretty crazy. It uses one of the Lego chains to help like pull the door back up and stuff. So just really love it. I love the function of that. I think it's pretty cool. Like I said, just the clunkiness of like the drop down there is the only thing I don't like. It kind of just falls down, but it still works, you know, it does what it's supposed to and everything. So that is pretty cool. So love that function and everything in there of deploying the battle droids out into battle. But then we can go to the back section as well. Of course, with either of these, we have like different flaps and stuff we can open. So we get the flaps we can open here to see more of the interior, kind of see how it functions and works and stuff, with like the stuff sort of moving forward here to drop it down. And then as you see, as it comes forward enough, this little arm falls down and everything, so that you can see that, especially, you know, if we open the doors on the other side, you can kind of see more of the interior there and stuff, so you can see more how it functions, or if anything breaks and stuff, you can easily get that open and fix it. So we'll get that back in. And then we also get this flaps on the sides that we can open up, and not really anything going on here. Like there's stuff to like store all the guns for the battle droids, so we'll have 6 guns in here for those 6 battle droids. We also get a little gear here, so if say we have it up and we want to do something different, we can twist it here instead of the knob on the top, so you get a little gear design. But love how there's like some red lights and stuff going on down here, so it kind of makes it look more the interior ship, but like careful, watch out stuff, you know, there's the machine that can get stuck on it and stuff. And then we also get the back flap that opens, so if we go back here, there's this little flap, we can open this, it kind of flaps down and does that, so we can get more into the back. So if we want to like store other droids like the Commando droids, maybe the STAP speeder could fit back in here. I don't know exactly how it would fit obviously without the Commando droid, but maybe you could put it like that in the back and maybe, you know, get it to fit in there. It'd be obviously able to fit, there's enough space for it, just obviously without the Commando droid, and get that stored in the back there as well. But like I said, there's room, we could put the Commando droids onto the sides or whatever. But just so you can see more how it functions stuff, as you twist this to deploy, this little piece slides back and forth, so obviously you have stuff icon here. If you try and deploy it, it'll knock them off as they hit where the red light section is and stuff. So just wanted to point that out as well. But overall, it's, you know, it'd be nice if it had more interior space and stuff and design, you know, more like how the ships are actually supposed to be. But I think overall, you know, for what it is, as long as it's got the space to be able to deploy the battle droids and stuff, that's really all I care about. And it's nice, you know, to have the pilot seat up top as well to be able to put our droid pilot and stuff. So overall, I don't really have much issue with it. Like I said, obviously there's so much with it that could be better, especially with the price you pay. It could be such a bigger ship and have more space. But for me, I don't really, like I said, besides the price, I don't really have an issue with this at all. Like I said, I don't have any experience with past ships, so I don't know how, you know, good it was in the past or whatever. I think this is just fine. It works exactly how I'd want it to. And overall, technically, with, you know, running out of space and everything, the smaller the ships are, the better, as long as they look good and function well and stuff. But there we got our MTT. Of course, can bring in our Commando droids to go along with it. I can always have issues getting them to stand, so we'll see how long they stand for now. But kind of wanted to set up a little battle here. Of course, bringing in our Bly and Aayla Secura as well. Of course, this is from the Battle of Felucia, where Order 66 happens, and they end up killing Aayla, so not the best with the 327th there. But there we can sort of set up that. And of course, we can also bring in our Battle Pack troopers. So not the easiest to see, but try to set up a little battle here with Aayla here leading the 327th with Commander Bly here and the rest of the 327th Star Corps there from our battle pack, and with our droids from this pack and the battle pack. So we had our super battle droids as well as the Commando droids. We got our spider droid, our MTT here and ready to deploy more battle droids into battle. Can be dropping them into battle there. So pretty cool. You can set up a little battle scene with getting the battle pack as well as this MTT pack. So nice that they made them go together there. Like I said, just really stinks that they made them such higher price, because with both of these you're paying over $200 for it, which is crazy. But still, I think it's cool that they made them go together. I wish Lego would do more of that stuff, like have, you know, big set and little sets go together so you can build more battles out with your clone troopers and everything. But very cool overall for the MTT set. Like I said, I do really like it, just hate that price, but do love the set overall. Love that it came with Commando droids, that it came with Bly, and then the MTT built itself and stuff. I really like just that stupid price I can't get over. But let me know what you thought of the Separatist MTT set down in the comments, and if you enjoyed my review, let me know with that like and hit the subscribe button to see more. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.